What is generative AI? It's a subset of AI that is able to generate something new based on your prompt. Well, how is it different from the traditional AI? Traditionally, when you hear the term AI, it is mostly used to recognize a pattern. For example, when you take a photo and ask AI what breed it is trying to recognize the breed of the dog, right? And when you swipe a credit card and when the bank sends you a text message asking to confirm if it was you trying to purchase something unusual and you say yes, then you are also engaging with an AI that is trying to find a pattern in your day-to-day activity and then recognize, is this a fraudulent or not? Going back to generative AI, it is able to not just recognize and understand the context, it can also generate something new. For example, it can generate text, such as blog post or image that you can use to post on social media. A sound that can also generate a clone of your voice or even a music. And it can even create some movies. I've seen some commercials now being made on generative AI, which is crazy. And this advancement is very exciting. And prompt engineering basically is a way to engage with generative AI. And it's not always just the text prompt engineering that's going to be the basis of generating everything. Sometimes you provide a past image example that you want or sound bites that you want to use. But as far as this course is concerned, we are going to talk about how text, the prompt engineering, affects the generation of a new text that comes out of it at the end. I always like to use an analogy as a way to explain something. And today I actually want to try to explain generative AI using chef as an analogy. So for example, ingredients. Ingredients are like pieces of information you can provide. For example, my name is Elisha Terada. I am a software engineer and course instructor, and I have cats. Those are the pieces of information that is provided about me. And if you just provide ingredients to chef, for example, I say, okay, the ingredients are chicken, garlic, and soy sauce. Then if you ask chef to cook something up, it doesn't know, or the chef wouldn't know what to cook for you. It's going to try its best based on what it already knows. It is going to maybe try to create, let's say, like a teriyaki. Or maybe it will just try to make some kind of adobo if you understand the Filipino cuisine. So if you want to be more precise about what you like to eat and not just give and throw ingredients at the chef, you need to provide recipe. And I'll say recipe is maybe the closest analogy to prompt engineering. It's in essence, sets of instructions or clarifications of information that you can provide. For example, you can at least be clear in that I want to eat a Japanese cuisine. So here are the ingredients. And maybe it's able to guess that you want teriyaki. And if you want to be even more clear, you would say, I want you to cut chickens into pieces, and then I want you to cook it on the teppan or the frying pan. And then towards the end, I can ask to drizzle the soy sauce at the end. And then that becomes way closer to the end result of teriyaki. As opposed to if I want to make adobo, let's say chicken adobo, then I would ask it to also add vinegar and add much more water to cook it more like a soupy sauce, right? So prompt engineering makes it clear with your intention how you want the chef to use the available pieces of information or pieces of the ingredients that's available to cook what you're intending to cook. Otherwise, you're going to get random results. And this is often where I see a lot of people struggle. I see a lot of people just give an ingredients and then get some results that doesn't make sense or not something that expected. And then they realize, oh, I guess AI is not smart. AI is not useful. But it turns out you need to provide more information that chef needs. The more information you can give, more clarification you can give, more closer to getting what you want out of the AI. And now there are actually two more pieces to this equation, which makes it even more powerful when you work with the AI. Going back to chef as an example, chef has certain knowledge. Maybe a chef is a junior cook, someone who just started, or maybe a chef has been in the industry for 40 years. There's a difference in the knowledge sets that's available, and that greatly affects the outcome. And you could see knowledge in two sets of the two ways. One way to look at knowledge is something that the model or the chef is already trained on. Maybe if the model or the chef is trained on with large sets of information, it can draw from the knowledge, the pre-existing knowledge. Maybe the chef has read so many recipe books or consumed a lot of YouTube videos on how to cook some certain cuisine. And maybe it so happens to be that chef has learned something about Japanese cuisine. So when you give ingredients and recipe, the chef has no problem cooking up the teriyaki. But imagine if a chef doesn't have that knowledge, it is going to try to put something together that might make sense, but may not quite come out with the recipe or the outcome that you might be looking for. Maybe it's teriyaki-like, but it's not quite teriyaki. The second set of the knowledge is something that it can access too. Something that's already trained on cannot cannot make up information that it's never seen before. But generative AI is very interesting and smart in that if you say, please access internet and then get the recipe from some recipe website and then learn how to make teriyaki, even if the model was never trained on, or even if the chef was never trained on the knowledge of teriyaki, it is able to then learn and then apply based on all the other knowledge it has, and then understand like, okay, makes sense. Like, it kind of looks like something that I've seen before. And combining with the new knowledge that now I have access to, it's like chef having access to smartphone or laptop to look at someone else cooking teriyaki. It can learn and actually be able to create the teriyaki really well. And lastly, experience, which is another important concept in at least the generative AI in the text field. Generative AI can also gain an experience when combined with added functionality that comes with feature tool sets like ChatGPT, that it can have a personalized long-term memory about you. Let's say every time I ask a chef to cook something, I express my interest in making the food taste less salty. And next time I ask chef to cook something, maybe that's not teriyaki, but something completely new, it will remember that I was asked for having less salt added. And that's a long-term memory about me, about my preference, that it can carry on through the interactions that happens into the future. And that's something that even if I don't specify in the prompt to make it less salty, it will just remember that I always seem to ask for less salty flavor. Now, again, some of these things, internet search and experience, those are not necessarily built into the model of the generative AI itself. But whenever you utilize some advanced tools such as ChatGPT, they provide those layers on top of it to make it more powerful, more convenient, something that you will come back and use it because it's so useful, beyond just this static snapshot of the chef. The chef that can grow and learn about you is way more useful. And that's why you recognize that there is a huge, immense power in generative AI, and learning prompt engineering will get you into leveraging the generative power of it, generative AI, really well. So hopefully through the lessons, you'll be able to learn how to work with your chef or the generative AI and be able to get exactly what you're looking for, and also get help from the chef, eventually recommend you the cuisine that you never thought you needed. But turns out that AI can be really smart in suggesting and helping you out in the ways you never expected. So hopefully you're getting excited about this, and I'd love to get started to teach how to leverage this power.